Good evening. We're ready to call to order the work session for November 17th, 2022 to order. This time, Mr. Mobley, can you lead us in our invocation?
Let's take a minute and pray. Dear Lord, thank you for loving us, and Lord, thank you for blessing us and giving an opportunity to gather together, Lord. And I thank you for men and women in the room making decisions for our teachers and students, and pray that you provide wisdom as they're doing school business, Lord. And I thank you for all the blessings that you bestow upon us daily. I pray for safety as we continue on throughout the year for our bus drivers and in our schools. I pray for our community. I pray for unity, and I pray for just a love for one another and a desire for doing things that are best for our community, our children, and our families. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, board members, at this time I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda for the work session.
I so move.
Motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Y'all gonna vote?
I did.
I did, okay. All righty.
All right, at this time, we are going to have a school update. And first off, I'd like to welcome everybody here. We have a few visitors and we have our staff, so thank you for being here tonight. And we have Dr. Mary Vickers from Ambrose Elementary School here to give us an update. So, Dr. Vickers, the floor is yours.
Thank y'all. I'm so honored to be able to share some of Ambrose's highlights. We're going to start off, first of all, just knowing that the goals that we have are definitely for achievement goals. Student achievement is our top priority. And as you can see there, our achievement goals, we decide in the summertime with our leadership team, we dig into data and see where our needs are. And that's you'll see there some of the root causes that the reasons why we chose to try to increase in our math and our, this is the ELA. And the next slide is the math slide, and it's, of course, the same thing, showing us the lack of why we think some of the reasons that our achievement is not where we'd like it to be. The first thing, with the ELA, some of the goals that we set, we knew that we were needing some training on some specific ELA standards, and so we sent some teachers to the Orton-Gillingham training. We were honored and actually blessed at the time. We were only supposed to have certain spots, but Risa called and said they had some openings, so we grabbed them. So all of our kindergarten and first grade teachers have been trained in the Orton-Gillingham training, which is the characteristics of your dyslexia learners. Back to, student achievement is our top priority, but of course, to get there, we've got to be able to be respectful, responsible, and role models. And there are some of our kids there that are our monthly Golden Eagle kids that we honor and highlight those kids that are showing those characteristics. We celebrate the attendance. Each month we try to have some incentives for those kids that are coming to school and doing their best. And so we've had so far our September Snow Cone Day, and then we had our highlight was October Spooky Dance Day. And the next slide's going to show you some of the dancing that happened, and I mean that was a big, big day. We didn't realize it was going to be such a hit, so we might have to have dances every month, for example. The First Responders Day was in October. We honored our first responders by, it was their actually Appreciation Day, and it was a great success. Of course, the helicopter could not travel to us that day. That called us that morning. I was hoping it was just not something that that happened to make them be somewhere, but they did say they had some pilot problems, so we was glad to hear that. But anyway, we have State Patrol, we have our local Coffee County Sheriff's Office comes out, our Coffee County School Board Police Chief came out, we have just the fire stations, we had just a really large crowd that came out that day, and the kids love it. The kids want to know all about their profession, so it was a good day for the kids. Go Trojans! We always enjoy our Trojans coming out to visit. The kids look forward to that, so we appreciate the times that the coaches in high school lets our kids come to the campus. Our Nacho Average Family Night actually was this week, and it turned out to be awesome, and it was a success. The kids, the actual parents that had signed up, of course, we had to have signed up so we could know how many packets and things to prepare for this actually event, and our turnout wasn't like they had signed up for, but however, the ones that came said we heard nothing but acclaims. You're saying that it was just wonderful, that they really enjoyed it. We made homework boards, which was just a wonderful thing, because the kids are already coming back last couple of days saying they've already been sitting and doing their homework in front of those homework boards. So that was a success. And then our Pumpkin Madness, only 81 pumpkins this year. We usually have close to 100, but I'm gonna tell you, that's a lot of pumpkins. That's a lot of pumpkins, and they were awesome. That's just a little activity to get the kids, the families involved with them, with their homework and with their assignments. So that was something that was good. A Farm Day has not come, it comes in the spring, but I thought it was very important to share with y'all, because if y'all have the chance, y'all need to come out. We have all kind of local farmers, from, of course, you see our beekeepers to our blueberries to, it's from horses and cows, and we had the corn one time before with it. Dawn always helps us and tries to find an activity that supports the agriculture in our community, and it just is an awesome day. The kids, I think that's their favorite day, is to have that, the Farm Day. And that concludes our presentation. I just wanted to give y'all a few highlights of Ambrose to let you know that we are out there having fun, yet we are trying to have, trying to achieve the achievement from our, having the, we want to make sure we stay with standards and work hard with those, but it's all about having the kids to have fun and making them feel like they're being successful in all areas. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vickers. All right. Minutes from our last monthly meeting. We have those minutes that have been posted and available for review. If there's any amendments or changes that need to be made. If not, then we'll place those on the consent agenda for the regular meeting. Financial report. Our monthly financial report is on the agenda, and you'll see the first document. We have end of month, October 31, an end of month fund equity of $22,936,314.36. The monthly financial report, detailed report. Ms. Young, do you have any comments to add to that report, detailed?
Our revenues have began coming in from the taxes, the local taxes. So next month we should see, an increase in the revenue piece of that due to that. But everything else, the percentages are, kind of the same as last month.
The third document is the comparison report. Gives you an idea of how we've done in relation to previous years. And then the fourth document is the ESPLOS report that cites revenue in October of $688,516.40. And we're about halfway in collections on this 5-year ESPLOS, so it's moving right through this FLOST. Any questions about those reports? If there's no questions, we'll place those on the consent agenda for the regular meeting. ESPLOS schedule. This is a compliance document that we have to run in the local paper, and it cites the collections on the current ESPLOS and the previous ESPLOS. And you will notice that there is a 2013 notation up there, the top line. There's just a small amount of money left in that account. That they were waiting on some band equipment to come in for the band. And they put the equipment on back order, and so therefore there's still around $8,000 in that account that has not been cleared yet. But as soon as that equipment is purchased, that 2013 line will go away on this report. And that document will be running in the paper. Bids, proposals, and quotes. The first item we have on the list is the NJROTC multi-purpose facility. And you will see the first document there that's posted. That shows where the facility will be in relation to Coffee High School. And that diagram there shows the actual facility, which is right here. This would be the ROTC facility and the multi-purpose facility. And this shows the 4-pad layout that we talked about back in October of last year when we had the board meeting. We talked about we would have either the 4-pad option, and then if you go over to the side, you would have the 5-pad option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that was the way it was put out for bid for the contractors to bid. The base bid is the 5-pad option, and then there was a deduct for the 4-pad option if the board wanted to go with the 4-pad option. So the base bid is for the 5 pads, and then there is a deduct on the bid tabulation sheet for if we decided to go with the 4-pad option, all right, the smaller version. If you look at the next document is the bid document, but I did want to point out the Georgia Department of Education document. Go to that as the second one. This was an application that was submitted to the State Department of Education, and they have approved this project. So this project has been approved by the Department of Education, and we will qualify for funding, reimbursement from the state for the 2 classrooms in the BB gun range. And we will qualify for state funding in the amount of $447,224. So we would get reimbursed from the state $447,224 on this project. And then the third document is the bid tabulation sheet. And this lists the contractors and their base bid. And you'll notice that Charles E. Lewis had a base bid of $7,975,000. Copper Construction had a base bid of $10,227,000. Harper and Company Builders had a base bid of $7,847,000. ICB Construction had a base bid of $8,140,000. Ludus Construction had a base bid of $11,437,349. And McDonald Construction had a base bid of $8,300,000. You'll notice alternates number 1, you'll see the dollar amount there. This would be deducted if you went with the smaller 4-pad version and not the 5-pad version. So you would see, for example, Charles E. Lewis, you would deduct $752,000 from that $797,500 if you went with the 4-pad version versus the 5-pad version.
What would Harper's be?
Harper's is $700,000.
Was that about $1 million?
Yes, $700,000, yes, sir. If you deducted that from the $7,847,000.
And the difference between, not money-wise, but what's the difference between a 4-pad and a 5-pad?
The 4 pad would have 4 of the drill pads that ROTC would drill on and have competitions on.
My point is why, I mean, they explained it one time, it's been a while back, the reason for the 5th pad.
The reason for the 5th pad is that if we host a drill team competition, they have 5 different pads going on, and they would all be in one location if we go with the 5 pad. If you went with the 4 pad and she hosts a competition, then they would have to put one of the other drill teams over at the middle school or outside.
Do they host those competitions now?
Do we host any of those competitions now?
We do. We host them at the middle school.
And they use 5 pads?
We do. There's always 5 pads. We have to have 5 drill pads, plus an area for them to do push-ups, sit-ups, plus classrooms for academics, and they're all going all simultaneously at the same time.
And how big is this multi-purpose building?
It's, how many square feet? Mr.
What's
Harper?
the dimensions on it?
There's 67,000 or something like that.
67, that's what I
Is that,
thought.
is that classrooms and all? Just
Yes.
just the multi-purpose building, how much?
I think it's 60,000.
The KROTC suite is 6,965 square feet.
How many
6,965,
is the classrooms?
yes, sir.
So the multi-purpose room then is 50-something thousand square feet?
The multi-purpose is 55,393.
And is that an acre or over acre?
It's over acre,
So we put,
1 1/4.
put an acre and a quarter on the roof for a multi-purpose center. How do we get from $1 million to $7 million?
Well, when we met in October, I talked to the board about this 4
I
pad.
didn't agree with them, but I'm just wondering how we got this
Yes,
board.
sir.
Well, I think a couple of members of this board at one time didn't want to spend $5 million on it.
Yes, sir.
Not current boards, but
Yes,
some
sir.
of the current boards. We discussed that and we thought that was too much. I just wondered how we changed our minds.
Just turnover on the board
Huh?
and changes would,
Well, I know it wasn't, not all of them were. I'm just,
uh,
I could see going to 2 or 3 million, but I mean, we really shot this thing up there.
yes, sir. Well, the cost of construction has
I
gone up
understand that
significantly.
too.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I always told you got the money, don't mean you got to spend it.
Yes, sir.
Sort of stuff.
I agree.
Sometimes we get to spending money on our wants instead of our needs.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Just remember that.
Yes, sir.
From 1 to 7.
Yes, sir.
I've got a couple of questions. Gunnar, when you do the competitions in the middle school, is that all outdoors?
We do. We have to use the parking lot right now. And if it rains, then we have to take up all the chairs from the auditorium. And then we'll put 2 drill pads in the auditorium. We'll put 1 in the gym. We'll put 1 in the cafeteria. And then that delays the others. So we have to, then we'll take 1 over to the high school to use that. And that's how we use it if it rains.
Gotcha. Okay, all right, thank you.
I mean, an acre and a quarter under a roof for that's a lot of room.
Yes,
you
sir.
know,
It is.
And you go doing that.
Yes, sir.
What, I've had principals here, athletic directors here, Gunnar, we've heard from you about ROTC and what your needs are. And that's, you know, this whole thing kind of kicked off several years ago. We got a letter from the Navy saying they need a dedicated facility, but when we started talking about what that was going to be, Mr. Allen, would you mind sharing with the board what, obviously this is a larger facility than just ROTC. I mean, ROTC is going to have it, you know, that's the sole purpose of it being talked about, being planned on. What's the rest of the story? How are the rest of the students at Coffee High going to benefit from using that facility?
Well, certainly, we want to be good stewards of taxpayer money, and so our vision is to get as many students in it on a daily basis as we can. So any group that can use it, we want them to use it, from our special ed, adaptive PE, using it, Special Olympics, all the way through any of our sports teams and any of our other clubs and organizations that need it. That's kind of our vision, is for the building to never sit idle, from throughout the school day, every block, after school, different groups, and then during the summer, different groups. So that's kind of our vision for it.
And
Question?
So what organizations would be utilizing the facility other than ROTC?
Yeah, so we,
I got a question before we go to any further.
yes, sir.
What are those groups doing now?
Well,
How have they been doing over the last, what have they been doing for the last, however long school's been there?
they've just been getting by with the spaces that we have.
Yeah.
They've been getting by. That's what they've been doing. For example, those that are bound by heat requirements, they don't have an indoor space, so they have to either cut the practice down, or they have to take
They don't use the gym?
equipment on. Sometimes they do. They use the gym sometimes when it rains.
Do we just have one gym out there? Is that right?
We have one basketball gym. Sometimes they drive over. Sometimes we have some groups drive over to the middle school and use that area there. So we have if I may, we have kind of a sample schedule of what it would look like if we had this facility today. What kind of schedule so we have, Coffee High School, we're on a 4x4 block schedule, so we have 4 blocks a day. So if we had it right now, after consulting with Gunnar Woods and Coach White and Mr. Myers, who couldn't be here tonight because they're having a band concert, we kind of came up with this schedule to fit everybody's needs. So you can see all the different groups, like during the fall, if we had it right now, during the school day, get those groups in it. After school in the fall, we could get all those groups in it throughout the day. Then you see the summer use.
You talking about every day, or is this just certain weeks? Or?
No, so this would be every day. If you look in the middle column, like the winter section where it's got MW&F, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. T&R is Tuesday, Thursday. So we kind of ask them, what about their schedules now? When do you need it? And so we were able to just quickly be able to put a pretty full schedule of students in there using it throughout the day. Now, in the spring, you see like after school use, you see soccer on the turf doing game preparation, like track and baseball. Weather option, that would be in case of rain. I understand baseball, they have a indoor, facility, and they'll be getting some improvements on that. But if they need a larger space, they would have this available. That's just the general idea, is to not have a building like that sit idle. Use it. Use it. Use it. Use it.
If you're gonna spend that kind of money, it don't need to sit out.
It doesn't. You need to.
I'll just say this now, this is a long way from where we started, all the TC most firms. So, just just looking at it, you know, ROTC may use it half the time, maybe. That,
No, I don't disagree with Mr. Gowers, I don't. What I would like to hear, I know, you know, we got the Performing Arts Center built. We stretched a little bit to do that. But we had the commitment from you that it was going to be utilized in different ways. I know when COVID hit, what are some of the ways that you've used the facilities that have been built new out there for you that
Well,
you
certainly,
weren't expecting?
certainly during COVID, an unexpected way that we used it was as classroom space. You know, we had at one time 4 different classrooms in that building to be able to spread out and allow space to still have school was one of the things that allowed us at the high school to stay in school there, to be able to spread out. But you know, because y'all chose to put the little desk in and 100 seats there, we use it for testing a lot because you can spread out and you got the desk and use it for that design. We use it for guest speakers. We use it. It's used a lot. We use it just recently for our county's strategic planning meeting there. So it's a wonderful. The Performing Arts Center is a wonderful space. It's an investment in the community, and so we look for this to be much the same way. Just again, we want to be good stewards of it, and we want to use it as.
go ahead.
That's just what we want to do. We want to put as many kids in.
Do we have any
as we can.
outside entity use it or call about it or anything?
For the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We do. We have lots of other groups, and they pay rental on the facility.
What we get rental on it?
Oh, do you remember? I'll just say it's roughly somewhere around $1,500. It depends. It's a little more if they charge admission, and depending on the crowd, how much security they have to have. And so it's somewhere around that $1,500.
We have a lot of that.
Well, I tell you, coming after COVID, we're beginning to get more and more. I know a local businessman contacted us last week, and he had secured a pretty big name Christian artist that is going to have a Christian concert there, and hopefully sell out and that kind of thing. So we're getting more and more. There's a lot of interest in renting that. I know we've had some of the local dance studios have rented it for those events. We've had a beauty pageant that's an outside person rented it for that. So it's being rented.
But basically, our high school kids get to use it some.
Our high school kids get to use it almost exclusively during the day, and they use it more than anybody else. And they get first priority. Listen, just like tonight, the band is having the band concert up there. Let's say somebody wanted to rent it tonight, well, the band would take priority over that. And so we have a big schedule, calendar made up, and our people school system gets first priority in that kind of
You have
place.
kids in there pretty much all day?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have kids in there. We have kids in there all day. The drama, we have drama. You know, originally that thing was designed to have the fine arts in there as well. The band, the chorus, the art classes, and we didn't go with that design, but we do have the drama meets in there. They have a classroom in there. They meet in there every day. And then just like this band concert tonight, you know, the band has to go in there and practice days leading up to that. So we today secured the date, spoke with Dr. Tucker about having all of our grade level. Last year we did first grade. They came and saw our students put on a Junie B. Jones play. So we look to do that. It's going to be Alice in Wonderland this year. And it'll be like second or third grade will come over from all in the county and take advantage of seeing that. And it's just a fabulous place. The Performing Arts Center is we're so thankful and humbled to have that place.
But, just real quick, I mean, if just ballpark it if you can, just based on the programming here, you know, of the number of kids, or students at the high school, roughly what, can you put a number, maybe percentage on the kids that are involved in these programs here that would at times utilize that?
Yeah, I mean, well, just, you know, just between, ROTC has about 100. They have about 100 in there. Football has around 100 in there. You know, cross country has probably 25 on the team. The band has about 100 in there. You know, baseball's probably got, well, they've got Mr. Lott on the team. 25, 30.
You're talking about all through all different.
You got, yeah, you got all through, you have probably 40 or 50 on there. So a couple of hundred students every day has a, you know, the opportunity to use what'll be a fine facility.
Is that size facility something you feel like y'all can manage on upkeep, maintenance?
Yeah,
I think there's some concern.
absolutely.
We build a shiny building and,
Yeah.
you know, what happens to it then?
So, you know, the high school is kind of like a city that never sleeps. And so, you know, with our night cleaning crew, we have a schedule that they do. And I think, you know, the Performing Arts Center has been getting quite a bit of use. It's kept up nicely. And I just think we'll continue the same schedule to keep it up. We just want to be good stewards. We want to leave things, when our time's done, we want to leave it better than we found it. And that's our goal, and that's our mission for us.
I got one last question for me, I guess, and then other board members, if y'all got any questions. Gunnar, getting back to your, we don't put 5 pads under a roof, that other pad's gonna be outside, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I was curious about that.
How often do you use 5 pads?
We currently host the big competition once a year, but they want us to put a schedule for 3 times, so 3 competitions a year that we use all 5.
3?
And yes. And that brings people in from all over the state of Florida and Georgia. They come in, North Florida.
Now, I'm not saying you don't need the facility, it's a lot bigger than,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
what.
And understand,
You know.
understand the reason, you know, one of the main reasons the 5 pad is not just because we're gonna use it 3 times a year. It's with the 5 pad, you have the ability, put on the paper, there's kind of some split schedules in there. You can get 2 or 3 groups in there at one time, and you just maximize the amount of students that you're able to have in there at one time. And to be honest, Gunnar Woods is kind of nice and humble about it. The ability to host one of these big events with 20 teams under one roof, and the logistics of not having to go here and there, it makes people want to come. When they come, there's 20 teams, they have to spend the night. So they have an economic impact for the county to be able to come here. And we can, just like the Performing Arts Center has turned into the location for one-act play in the area. Everybody in our region, they want to come here. We host one-act plays there. This will be the area for the ROTC competitions from South Carolina down to Orlando. Instead of our students having to travel and we having to pay for that travel, they'll be paying to come to us, and they'll be staying in our hotel rooms, eating in our restaurants, and it makes Coffee County stronger. So that's really the thinking behind the 5 pad, the usability and the economic impact in Coffee County.
And we need that much room for the 5 pads.
Yes, sir. That's
It needs to be that big. Y'all use 1.25 acres.
We use a football field usually when we host a competition. And we host the competition out at middle school. We use
It's a
the,
little bit smaller, it looks like on that drawing right there.
and we use the whole entire
Well, as
parking
big as a
lot.
football field,
No.
all quiet.
Not quite.
You can see the practice field behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got that first part is just that building part on it, the actual, the drill area, I think is,
The dark squares
Is
on
it?
the
yeah,
pads.
it's a good bit smaller than a football field.
Right.
That's still a big building now, Mr. Jowers. Still a big building.
What's a football field, 50 by 100?
53, what did Coach White, 53.5?
Be 3 yards times, how long, not the whole shrubs and all, I'm just saying the field. It's 100 yards long, and 50 yards wide.
120. 'cause you got
120 because you got the end zone.
Okay. 50 wide.
53, yeah, it's 53 and a half, I believe. And
It'd
half
have to
always
be wider than that for the teams to be on the sideline, wouldn't it?
Right, that's just a playing area, that's just a playing
Playing
area.
area.
That's
Is
just
that
a
map,
playing
is
area.
that map scale?
Yeah.
There's one right behind you, Mr. Jowers, that shows you sitting right beside it.
Do what?
And right behind you shows you sitting beside the practice field there. You can see what size it is.
Was that the plan on the, I saw you had sod, I know you're gonna tear up a good bit, the turf. Is that basically just the, where you
Yeah.
gonna fit in the practice?
Well,
outdoor practice, or-
let me clarify that, because the alternates, there's the alternate number 1. If you look beside Harper, alternate number 1 would be the deduct. If we went with the 4 pads versus the 5 pads, you'd deduct 700,000. But I am recommending that we do alternate number 2. That is the fire alarm system. And then I'm recommending that we do alternate number 3, which is for $25,000 would be sodding of the practice field, because they're gonna have to tear up the existing practice field out there. Once they start construction, it's gonna tear all that up. And in the base bid, they put sprig in the practice field, but for $25,000, we could have it sodded. And our architect felt like that was a really good price for a sod practice field. Mr. Hart?
Let me mention something about the sod. We're gonna have to have this large area, this lay down, not where the building, the front part of the building is. We're gonna have to have it for a lay down area. There's no, I mean, it's really a tight site. And, we have to bring the building parts in and lay them down and sort them out and all that. And if we can't use that, we'll have to seed it. And by the time we seed it, we won't be able to get the grass established in time to use it, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Because I've got to use it for a laydown area, you know.
Yes, sir.
And so personally, I like to see the sod, because that way we can use it during construction, and then put sod down all the way up to December.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess my general question on that was, you got the site for the building with the pads, and then right next to it would be the scale of the field that would be resodded and,
Yes, sir.
okay, that's.
The one point I do want to make clear is that the surface for the interior of the multi-purpose room is not in this bid. So the architect recommended that we come back and purchase the floor material for the multi-purpose facility off the state contract. They have a state contract list that we can just pick which type of floor surface we want and what price we want on that, rather than trying to incorporate that into this bid. They felt like there's so many different varieties of floor surface for the interior that it would be best that if we just bid the building, do the building, and then we come back and we will buy the material for the floor surface in a separate purchase. We'll come back to the board with that. And they're estimating that could be anywhere from $700,000 to $600,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
So this bid don't even cover the floor cover?
No, the floor covering would be done at a later bid. Yes, sir, off the state contract.
We gonna get concrete out on the floor or not?
Well, we'll put concrete on the floor and then we'll put a turf surface over that. Well, actually, there's not concrete on the floor.
GAB.
No, it's
I think it's gravel.
It's gravel.
GAB base, and then you go with the surface on top of that.
yeah.
It's what, Mr. Hoffman?
We'll be putting the GAB, it's gravel.
Yeah.
And it'll be compacted and everything, and all you got to do is put the surface on it, you know.
So, is that a year-to-year state contract price that's available, or is the reason I'm asking that is the timeline of, your estimate timeline, if we approve this, and you go forward with construction, kind of an estimated timeline of
A year.
start to finish?
It's gonna take every bit of a year.
And then as soon as this is approved, we'll start looking at the state contract list and the floor surface that would go on it, and you come back to the board with that at a later date.
We're about 8 million right now without the floor cut, is that right?
We're at 7 million, what is that total? 7,847,000. But keep in mind, we will get the 447,000.
Got some add-ons to that, doesn't it, you said? You said, that the 5 pad?
The 7,847,000, and then we would add the 25,000 and the 11,000. Yes, sir, so 8 million, yes, sir.
Board members, any questions of the group that's here?
I don't have any questions. I think it's something that we need, we will have a lot of use for. I'm excited to see it built. I'm not crazy about the price. I'm with you on that, but
It'll be a long way from where we first talked
I
about.
think $1 million was the ROTC part, that building, brick building with the classrooms and all that stuff. I don't think I've ever seen a quote on.
You don't remember him showing us that slideshow of the building he was wanting to build?
I'm talking about the ROTC building's about $1 million, but I don't think I've ever
He
seen.
showed us a slideshow of that multi-purpose center that he got from somewhere.
Yeah, that had a 100-yard field with 2 end zones. That was about twice the size of it.
That was about $8 million several years ago.
Yes.
That- What he's,
Yeah,
what you're
that was,
talking about.
that was 4
You
years
know, he
ago.
first put in there 5 million in that squash thing we did, and then we didn't want to do that kind of money when we took all of it out.
Well, we could have done this right here for less than that at that
Yeah.
point. And that's kind of my problem with, you know, I don't want to spend this much money, but I don't see us going back to that price anytime soon. I mean, I don't know, it's gonna cost us a lot more money because we waited a few years, but at the same time, our SPOS has made a lot more money because things are so high. I mean, we went from going probably draw 28 million, we're gonna cap out at
We were
35.
supposed to have done this, what, 3 years ago?
It's been,
Yeah, but if you remember, we were gonna bond the money and do it, but we didn't wanna bond the money and do it. We wanted to do pay-as-you-go, so we had to wait until we had the money in hand to be able to do it. So we went from a bond, and when I proposed that to y'all 4 years ago, I proposed that we would bond $16 million and we'd go ahead and do the project then.
What did we bond?
We bonded eight. So we bonded just enough to do the high school project. So theoretically, if we'd have bonded it 4 years ago and went ahead and done it then, we might have got a lot better price. But, you know, we would have paid some interest. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
I mean, and that's my point. I think we need this facility. That's the reason we put it on SPOS. You know, we've got a very good ROTC program that needs their own building. We need a multi-purpose facility for those times when the weather's bad, it's hot, it's cold, it's thunderstorms. We need a place for these kids to go. I never envisioned spending this much money on it, but the thing is, we put it on SPOS, we said we were gonna build it, and now here we are. That's the cheapest bill we got. I'm not crazy about it. I'm, you know.
Like I said, I'm not saying.
But I don't
you gotta
see
need that
any-
facility.
I don't see any way to get it done any cheaper. I mean, we've got several bids right here. This is the cheapest bill we've got. you know, it's just kind of like, well, that's what it costs now.
I
I'm not
don't
crazy.
remember anything about these pads when we first talked about ROTC.
Well, it was just a multi-purpose facility. We asked Ms. Wood, what did they need out of that building? They came talk to us one time, and that was the difference between, I don't know the difference between the 4 pads and the 5 pads until she brought that to us. You know, we could build the 4 pads, but it's not gonna save us enough money that it's gonna be, okay, we got back to where we originally were at. We're gonna spend this much money, I'd just soon go ahead and let her do the 5 pads and have what.
Go ahead and spend it, we got it.
That's not what I'm saying. I mean, you're gonna spend that much money, you know.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, I think, you know, one of the concerns that I've had is if we do spend the money, we have the money, if we do spend the money, are we gonna do this? Because I think the impression out there is we're leveraging ROTC's needs in order to have an indoor practice facility for football. I just go ahead and say it. I mean, that's, you know, that's what you're up against. So when I say up against it, what are we doing here? We're not building a building for ourselves. You know, we're building a building for the students.
Yeah. And that was the, you know, you see the.
So you're hearing the concerns that come from that.
That's right.
You know, okay, we're gonna build this building, is it gonna be able to be utilized by a variety of our students at the, you know, so that kind of answers my question there. You know, and then the qualms I have about maintenance and upkeep, just, you know, don't want it to turn into a, you know, big white elephant out in the field and
Right.
not getting taken care of, so.
I guess what I'm getting at, though, going back to 4 pads and 5 pads is this, what I'm saying, Mr. Giles. We built a lot of things in the past that school system skimped on, tried to save a little money on, and it's come back to burn us in the end. You know, we got a lot of things that we built over the years that we tried to save money here and there, and that's things that we fought battles with, you know, the entire time we've had. If I'm gonna spend this kind of money on building, I want it done right, and I want it done the way they need it to utilize it like they want to. I'm not crazy about spending that much money.
Well,
But if I'm going to,
Yeah, we look back
I do
at the-
wanna do it right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
look
saying.
back at the, you know, we look back at the ag building that we built, the Walker building, and we, you know, that started out as probably under $500,000, and by the time we got through with it and what everybody wanted out of it, and look what it's turned into. It's a utilized facility, it's known in the area. You know, to your point about performing arts, you know, we decided we could do this, or we could get it done right. And I think the difference that we could do it and get it done right was about $1.5 million.
Well, I think the thing's biting us right here, it's just this is what stuff's costing.
Right.
That's what's killing us. I mean, I knew this was gonna be a several $1 million project.
Sure.
I didn't envision it being this much. But I don't see, you know, I mean, it's not like we're sitting there saying, well, wait 6 months, things are gonna go down. I mean, if you're gonna build it, this is what's gonna cost you to build it.
Not to put you on the spot, Harper Construction, but if you had bid this project out 5 years ago, roughly what, I mean, again, not trying to.
5 years ago, it would have probably went for 60% of this.
Gotcha. And that's materials, labor, everything you're faced with
Right.
now, supply, right, gotcha.
When we did the Broxton Elementary School.
And it's not going down.
Right.
And then when we
Oh,
did
come on, you know what you're
We did the Broxton School, and then we did the Nichols School, was basically the same school, it was about $2 million more.
And speaking of schools, I know we talked about, we hadn't nailed it down, but the effort to do what we're gonna do at West Green.
Yes, sir. We looked at the numbers this morning, and we will still have ballpark around $12 million in this SPOS to draw. So we're going to have pretty close. And let's just take a conservative number, because the number that Ms. Young, we looked at this morning was around 12, but I said, let's be very conservative. We're still going to have, even if you're very conservative, 10 million to put towards.
We'll wait 4 more years to do that.
We won't. We won't wait 4 years. Yes, sir. So we'll have the money to do the improvements at West Green that we've been planning to do.
You the same architect there?
Yes, sir.
Ain't gonna be this slow, is it? You will go to the TC building.
Well, they've been working on the West Green School already, so.
Dr. Lees, any further discussion, board? Yes, sir, Mr. Wade.
The Colquitt County indoor practice is twice the size of this, it's $3.5 million. Like Mr. Harper said, if we'd built it years ago, we'd save a lot of money, but it's not going to come down. I don't think anytime in the future. I just want one thing understood, this is not one penny taxpayer money. All the swash money comes from sales tax.
That's right. You know where that
56
sales
cents.
tax come from?
Wait a minute.
Where's it come from?
56 cents of every tax dollar in Splosh comes from outside of Coffee County.
But they taxpayers.
They're not Coffee
taxpayers.
County
But
taxpayers.
it don't matter.
You're trying to make like it's on the back of the taxpayer, the landowners. It's not.
Well, part of it is, because
No,
we
it's
spend
not.
our money here. We pay sales tax in Coffee County. I do, you do.
If you go to Waycross shopping or Valdosta, you're gonna pay sales tax too.
Well, I know it, but part of that money comes from Coffee County.
It's not taxpayer money though.
It is, because the taxpayers are the ones spending it. They don't want to pay
Mr.
the sales
Jowers,
tax.
everybody doesn't own property.
Well, I
A lot
fully
of
understand
rent.
that. I fully
Okay.
understand that. But I'm just saying, part of it does come from people that buy products. here.
I go to practice every day, and in the summertime, they got a thermometer they put on the
Mhm.
goalpost, and it sounds an alarm if it gets above a certain index. Well, I went over to the practice field, took my tape recorder, and recorded this little girl for a halftime program.
Yeah.
First thing I asked her was a stupid question: how much do you weigh? She looked at me like, you idiot, who are you? And I said, I'm sorry. And the point I was trying to make was, she had a horn on her that weighed 60 pounds.
Yeah.
She weighed 110 pounds. Okay, you know what the temperature was that day? 113 degrees in the sun. These kids are marching up and down that practice field. Why can't they come inside this facility and practice?
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, think about it. It's not just football and baseball and basketball.
How long have our
ROTC kids, you
kids
see
been
them
doing
throwing those
that?
big rifles right in here
How long have our kids been doing that?
forever, and it's a wonder we hadn't had 2 or 3 die. I'm gonna take you out to practice one day and show you.
You don't have to, I know. I used to be on the sidelines a lot in baseball in the summertime.
They didn't practice 12 months out of the year.
No, we practiced more than I wanted to.
Well, listen, I'm ready to make a recommendation that we accept the low bid from Harper and Company for $7,847,000 and alternate number 2 for $11,000 for the fire alarm, and alternate number 3, $25,000 for resodding the field. And that's my recommendation.
Voting now or in the regular
We'll,
meeting?
we'll vote on the regular meeting, and we'll put it
Decide
all.
separate.
Yes, sir.
Board, y'all, at this point, what we're doing is we're gonna take this to the regular meeting to vote, and we'll just move forward with the rest of the work session at this time.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate y'all passing this time.
Yes, sir.
We've got another item on the agenda for whiteboard replacement for Indian Creek Elementary School. Mr. Evans has been working on the whiteboard replacement for Indian Creek, and it comes in at the low bid with CDW at $35,553 for the 48 whiteboards. And then we have the projector and mounts, 52 of those from CCS for $87,364.16. And then we have the installation from CDWG, $26,889.60. Now that difference there caught my eye, so I asked Mr. Evans about that. And he thinks that CCS, either they didn't submit their paperwork, or they didn't understand, or else they took a per classroom price, which was much more if they were having to drive down here and install, and drive back, and drive down here and install, and drive back. But CDWG is the low bid for the installation at $26,889, so that's what we recommend we take, is that one.
Total cost I see is $149,806.76, is that correct? Correct. Okay.
And if it pleases the board, we'll place that on the consent agenda. And then the
Mr.
next,
Evans,
Yes, sir.
have we done freshman campus yet?
We have not.
I thought we were gonna do it last summer.
Well, that wasn't in the plan for the summer, but coming into this year, I ran that question by finance and maintenance. And this is what they decided we could do for this upcoming summer.
How we paying for this?
paid for this out of SPOS.
But we can't do freshman
Well, I
campus
think-
too, but we can build $7 million.
What Logan told me was that it had to do with capacity for maintenance. We've got a lot of work going on right now with HVAC and different projects going on, and that they felt like it was gonna really stretch them thin with electrical.
So
and
it's
that
not the
type of
money,
stuff.
it's the.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not
part
the
of-
money.
Part of GWC, as I understand it, is some of the existing condition of the wiring over there. It makes it a much more complicated project and would throw them off on their other projects, trying to work through that. However, I will say, we're exploring some additional options.
Yeah, I talked, and Mr. Jowers, after I talked to you yesterday, I did call Logan, and we talked about looking at a different product. Maybe we do something different over there that won't be so labor intensive, and actually maybe something a little more high-tech, and we're gonna study
It
it.
doesn't matter to me, I mean, but those people over there need it bad as any of those schools.
I 100% agree. The existing equipment there is 10 years or older, and it certainly does need refurbishing, getting something new in there.
So we talking about waiting another year?
No, we're gonna do something. I've already told him if we've gotta go with a different product, we'll go with a different product. We're gonna do something to improve there.
There's pros and cons to going with something outside of what we normally do as far as cost, but then when you look out 5 to 10 years, you know, while you got it done quick, you might not have made the perfect decision based on future maintenance and upkeep and replacement.
They need to build a new school over there out of this next spot. They got plenty of room over there to build one.
There's gonna be a lot to talk about in planning, yes, sir. But we're gonna work on those board replacements over there and get something done. We're not gonna wait until, not this coming summer, but next summer.
Okay.
We'll do something and get it done. Combi oven. We've got the purchase for a combi oven for $84,568. And we need this for Satilla Elementary School and Coffee High School. And that's $84,568. Any questions about the combi oven? All right, if there's no other questions, we'll place those items on the consent agenda for the regular meeting. We've got the 2023 meeting dates presented to the board for information, and this is for board review. We'll come back at our next meeting and ask the board to approve those meeting dates if you want to study those and make sure we don't have a conflict. The next item on the agenda is the local retention supplement. We are recommending to the board, in lieu of the ESSER funding that we've received, ESSER 2 funding that has to be spent by September of 2023, and in looking at the fact that we have a lot of systems who are competing for teachers and employees, and we've got surrounding systems that are doing retainment supplements and doing recruitment supplements and such as that. We had somebody, a teacher, inquiring about leaving us just this past week, who said that there was a system who was going to offer some kind of bonus to come over or whatnot. We feel like we need to stay competitive with our employees and offer them a retainment incentive supplement of $1,200. So we're recommending to the board tonight to approve $1,200 per employee, included contracted custodial employees. And that would be distributed through the electronic deposit before Christmas. So,
What about, go about cleanup crews?
yes, sir, everybody that's employed by us. The only group we can't do is substitutes, because we've got some that may work one day a month, we got some that may work one day every 6 months, we got some that work every day, so.
I understand that, everybody.
Yes, sir. Everybody else.
Top of the problem.
Yes, sir.
Spoke to me the other day, we're gonna use the ESSER funds, and then on the contract employees, we're gonna have to use general fund, but we're good.
Yes, sir.
We're good there.
We're gonna use the same process we've been using. We've been through 2 audits, and it's all been good, and so we're just gonna follow the same process we've been using. So,
What y'all got today?
I'm not crazy about it, but I think I guess it's a time-sensitive deal. You've got to spend the money by a certain date, it is what it is, but I would like to see us spend some money like that going towards trying to recruit people for areas that we struggle to hire. You know, math, special education, stuff like that, ways to retain those employees. Now, this is on a, time deal, that's, I get it, but, we struggle to hire certain areas. I would like to see us try to take some money and put into trying to recruit people to come here in those areas, retention bonus is good, but, the vast majority of people are gonna work here next year either way. And I don't really think $1,200 is gonna make somebody come or go. So we call it a retention supplement, I don't know, call it, but I guess it doesn't matter what you call it. If the funds have gotta be spent, it is what it is, but, we've done a lot of bonuses and supplements and these types of things, but we still haven't tried to look at ways to recruit people to come here in specific areas. We do everything across the board, but we've got areas that we lack in.
We have somebody left to do some of that, at least.
we'll certainly, yes, sir, look into it and study it and see. Ms. Locke, you making a note of that? All right.
And I'll just do a couple of areas out. I don't know what every area, but I just know that those 2 areas we struggle in. I'm sure there's other areas we struggle in. There's some other things we could do with some money like that to try to, incentivize some of our better teachers to do this or do that. There's a lot of things we could use the money for.
This is just a one-shot deal.
I know this is, and that's why I've kind of cooled my heels. It's got to be spent by a certain date. The point is, we keep doing these things, but we keep sidestepping areas that we do need to spend some money on to try to recruit people in certain areas.
I don't want, we don't have to stop right now and figure it out, but I would like, we go to the budget here, this coming spring, is to look at an upward adjustment of our local supplement. We've been at that roughly 2% for a long time, and there's systems around us that are, years ago may have been lower than us, but they've moved it on up, and that's what I think when folks look at, do I work in this county, do I work in that county? It's that it's not the once in a while, when am I gonna get it? Will I get it or not get it? It's that, no, it's here, I've got it.
Yes, sir.
Looking at how we can afford to adjust that.
All right.
That piece of
So I just want to say, I'm looking more along, this is a one-time deal. It's not going to help us 2 years, but I'm looking at something that will get the teachers in the areas we need to come, stay long-term and stuff like that. But, I understand
It's roughly the equivalent of what's the average on let's say an average teacher salary of roughly $60,000 when you go from top to, right? So then that 2%, $1,200 is.
Giving teachers as well.
Yes, sir. All right.
I don't think anybody's gonna turn it down.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
If they do,
Yes, sir.
if they do, let's give them a prize.
Yes, sir. If it pleases the board, we'll place this on the consent agenda for the regular meeting. All right. At this time, I would ask for an executive session to discuss personnel and to also discuss real estate and the employment or disciplinary action of an employee for the school system.
Need a motion to exit to executive session. Ms. Johnson, second by Mr. Wade. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. All right, board members, I need a motion to exit executive session.
I'll make that.
Mr. Wade, second by Ms. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, work session is adjourned. Take a deep breath. Got this